Good morning, campers. I hope you're going well. A very happy Monday to you all. It's Andy here with a bit of a Monday morning tune-in. Hopefully get you up to speed with everything that's gone on in real estate land over the course of the last week and get you fired up for a big week ahead. It was an interesting one for me personally on the front line on the weekend. For some reason, I just collected a whole bunch of units in townhouses that I was auctioning last Saturday. And very, very interesting observation around the fact that anything with any complication on the contract, so it's a weird easement or something like that, seems to, for some reason, be causing a few more headaches than most. I've got someone that I'm going to have a chat to very, very shortly about this and seeing how they're faring in the outer suburbs of Melbourne, prime first home buyer territory. So I'll be really interested to see how Jo Mooney is tracking. But firstly, gang, first off, I just need to know, how are you going out of 10? How was your weekend out of 10? Feel free to post your scores in the comment section below, just so I can find out how everybody is faring. If you've got any success stories, make sure you post them in the comment section below. Now, gang, auction results. We've got them ticking along the bottom there. And overall, another very, very impressive weekend. Victoria fared at around 79%. We're still dipping our toe in the market, I would suggest. Going by the number of auctions that we've got recorded, 341, but private sale volumes are very much on the rise with another 200 on last week. New South Wales, standout performer there at 83% of 427 auctions. Queensland still ticking along nicely, well above 1,000 private sales. South Australia and ACT, hats off to you. You guys are doing a fabulous job so far. And all of the other states are staying pretty consistent when it comes to volume, which is really, really good. So, gang, overall, it looks like things are ticking along quite nicely. REA, Nerida Conisbee, came out with an article last week on REA and brought out the statistics that suggest that this recession, this worry about market prices dropping and all that sort of stuff, it's still not happening. March to October comparative sales results shown that every single market, except for the Greater Melbourne, because obviously we were locked down for a hell of a lot longer, were all showing positive growth, which is great. So, gang, it looks like the numbers are suggesting that we're going to be ticking along okay till at least the turn of the year. Now, I'm going to bring on my guest for this morning. Jo Mooney is a real estate agent who has been on a bit of a mission for quite some time. I've had the good fortune of knowing her for quite a while now, and she is not shy in coming forward when it comes to making sure that the customer is front and center of all of her decision making. She's in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, which is an prime first home buyer territory at the very end of the metro lines. Let's bring her on to see how she got on over the weekend. Jo, how are you?
I'm tired, but I'm really good. It was a very, very, very busy weekend. So
very busy weekend. So give me a bit of an overview. So how many inspections roughly? How many deals do we think we're going to get done? Give me a few numbers.
Yep. So we're sitting with. So obviously we're still doing the private inspections, which I'm actually really, really loving, especially with first home buyers. We're getting more communication from them. We're getting more information from them and able to sort of match them up almost. It's sort of like you're dominoing them through to properties if they miss out, which is really, really good. So we did 38, I did 38 15-minute private inspections. So basically we were asking vendors to be out of their homes for anything to 2 to 3 hours at a time so that we could filter everybody through. But it works really, really well because you've got that crossover. All the buyers are turning up on time. They're patiently waiting, but you're getting some really good quality information out of them. So basically from that, we're looking at potentially five properties being able to get contracts written up just from the weekend. And that leads me into the fact that the stock levels are still way too low. So,
Right.
but probably in the last, I'd say 7 days, we've seen a definite increase in the number of homeowners that are aspirational, wanting to go to regional, wanting to move into state, or just the home that they've been locked down in has come to the fore now, and they're sort of like, this is not where we want to be. And they're now seeing that there are properties transacting, so they're getting confident enough to pick up the phone and say, hey, can you come and have a chat? So we're starting to see that potentially the stock levels will start to sort of meet a little bit closer to the demand levels, but we're still a fair distance off.
What's your median house price roughly?
Median house price is 553.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you're very much in that south of 600 prime first home buyer territory. Lots of transactions. I won't say a case of quantity over quality, because all of the homes that you sell are quality to someone, right? But
the interesting thing, Andy, is that the first home buyers are very driven by the government grants, and obviously the houses that are sub 5 years old as well are really, really popular because they get that little potential double dip on the first home buyers grant. But like what we saw in sort of 2017-18, they are actually prepared to stretch above the magic number to secure the house when they're under competition, which is where they're at right now. So we're getting, you can see that the buyers that are new into the market are playing a little bit to the rhetoric of the media, saying the henny penny, the sky's falling, the prices are going to drop, all those things. But within about 10 days to 2 weeks, they're all over it. They know that that's not the reality here, and they're prepared to stretch. And obviously the interest rates are playing into that yet again, like they did back then as well. So they've got that stretchability.
Yeah, look, it's no secret that the government and the RBA, everybody is trying to get that first home buyer market really rocking and rolling, particularly when immigration numbers fall in like a stone, clearly, with all of the restrictions on travel and whatnot still. So that first home buyer market is so critical to the success of the greater economy to a larger extent, one could say, when you think about more first home buyers committing to property, therefore spending on bigger ticket items, and therefore spending on more substantial goods on the up, which is great. And would you say that that greater level of information that you're getting from buyers is helping the buyers as well? I mean, I know this sounds obvious, right? But one message that I want to get through to anybody that's looking to get into the market is that level of clarity and communication to agents, it makes the buyers' lives so much easier right now. Would you say that's fair?
100%. And I think the key message is that even though, and this has always been a little bit of a thing with Australian real estate, where the agent represents the seller and the buyer in the transaction, unlike overseas in some cases, but we are actually there to help. So the more disclosure they give us, the more we can actually guide them towards success, because we actually want to help them buy their home, because that's what we do. That's what we do.
Supposedly, that's what we do anyway.
Allegedly, we're there. Yeah. But
look,
it's one of those.
It's not like we're telling them to give us their entire life story, their budget down to the penny, and all the rest of it. You've still got room to negotiate. You can still do the negotiating bit. Everything else is something that you need to be disclosing to your agents, because at the minute, they've got to be a little bit more selective. When you think about the volume that the likes of Jo are doing right now, they've got to be a little bit more selective as to who they prioritize, really, for inspections. And that's not to say that they're judging you or anything like that based off, whether they think that you're going to be the highest buyer for the home. It's whether it's going to be the right type of home for you, right? And I know that buyers, you will, we don't want to pigeonhole anyone, but the more clarity you give to the agents, the less time you're going to waste, and the more chance you're going to get of seeing a property that might actually fit the bill.
But also too, I mean, if there's clarity around what they want to buy, then there's properties that aren't on the open market that we can then go and approach. For a perfect example, I met a couple a week and a half ago, and then delving deeper into what they wanted, they told me their dream floor plan. And I happen to know where that floor plan is. Right. And I happen to know that I was going to be bringing it to market next month. So I rang the owners and I said, hey, are you still interested and open to having someone coming through prior? And they're like, well, brilliant timing, because our builder's just rung and our house is going to be ready earlier.
Right.
Took them through on Saturday. I've got 2 other couples going there today, this afternoon, and quite potentially we've matched it up because they wanted a floor plan where the master bedroom was to the rear of the home. That was their ideal floor plan. As we all know, that's not the most common layout around. So
night
when
shift,
you know you've got that.
Worker by any chance?
Sorry?
Night shift worker by any chance?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So we, when they said to me, this is our ideal, and I'm like, I actually know where that house is. And then when the budget lined up and all those sort of things, I'm like, let's put it together and let's see what you think. So, the more information that they give us and the more that they work with us, we're not their enemies. We actually want to get them into a home. Simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, buyers they're only going to sign off on something that they're happy with ultimately. Okay. And there's no amount of silver tongue behavior that can go on nowadays to convince them otherwise. So you might as well be upfront. You're only going to go for something that you like anyway.
Yeah, and even when it comes to the budget, don't be afraid to tell the agent the budget, because that could open up a whole other door that they wouldn't know about without knowing that information. But I always say to the buyers, what your budget is doesn't determine what I'm going to demand you pay for a property. Everybody has a price for a property. Every house is worth different money to different people for different reasons. So they will determine what they believe the property is worth for them. There'll be a little bit of argy-bargy, of course. But, at the end of the day, every property has a value and it'll be different for each buyer.
100%. Now, my observation off the weekend on the front, from being on the front line around the town, was that the contracts that I had, there was a couple that had not like iffy conditions on the not conditions, iffy sort of elements to the property. So, one had a weird little easement. Another one was a 3-story townhouse that was really, really nice inside in a perfect posse, but it was a bit different, right? Are you finding, and checking your sort of sentiment here, are you finding any property with any sort of, odd sort of, any sort of weird little idiosyncrasy or something like that, anything that's a little bit off center, are you finding them a bit harder to move on, or are people still happy to act on them? Are you finding that buyers are a bit more sensitive towards that sort of stuff?
Look, a lot of obviously in our area here, a lot of our houses are very stock standard. But in particular on the weekend, I had, I've got a little property there that's on just under 300 square meters of land. And the buyer was asking, is there an easement to the back? And I'm like, well, where are you going to build? Like, what do you actually expect to be able to do with the extra 2 meters that are in the yard, sort of thing? So I think they're just getting a little bit more educated and a little bit more spooked about things that may not be straightforward. So the couple that I took through that property with the rear bedroom, the first property I met them at was over in Brooklyn Greens Estate, and they read the 32 and discovered it was in a bushfire overlay. Well, once I spoke, because that freaked them out completely, and once I spoke to them about what that actually meant and why it was there and how common it actually is in our area anyway, and let's be honest, a lot of metro Melbourne, a lot of suburban Melbourne, they came down off the ledge a little bit. But and this is the thing, we now have those relationships with buyers because we've met them one-on-one, not just milling them through open for inspections. And if they are freaked out about something, they just never engage again. Whereas now they actually know you, and you've had that extra 5-10 minutes with them to develop that rapport and develop that understanding of what personality they are, as to whether they're going to be detail oriented, what would potentially freak them out, what they're attracted to, and what they're worried about, which I'm really enjoying.
Very very much so. We won't go as far as to say that Jenman was onto something as such, but we'll certainly suggest that that one-on-one attention. Certainly, I mean, look, strike rates, if you are smart enough to track your strike rate with regard to the volume of inspections to offers, there's not one person I know that can say that their private inspection strike rate is worse than their OFI one, right? It's as simple as that.
However, that does come down to how well you are adapting to qualifying before the private inspection as well. 100%. So I was, as you know, until I started working in Cranbourne, I had never done an open for inspection. So I had done everything through private inspections, being in the rural sector, and those questions and the ability to have those conversations with buyers really early has just come back really easily, to be able to say, all right, well, this is what I need to know from you, and this is what you need to know from me. And if all of that works out, then, hey, awesome, let's go and meet at the property.
Yeah, cool. Very, very good. Your sort of crystal ball type prediction for what's left? How many weeks have we got left? 6 or something? Remember what we've got left, and heading into the new year. Are you expecting any, or are you sensing any sort of slowdown over the turn of the year? Do you think that vendors will do the traditional thing and shut up shop for a little while? What do you think is going to happen?
I'm not taking holidays.
Yeah, good.
Which basically means that my crystal ball, I said to a client the other day, my crystal ball for 2021 is shattered in little shards on the floor. And that I don't actually have enough glue to put it back together. Yeah. My read on it at the moment, having seen the increasing number of appraisal requests and communications from potential vendors and things, and also seeing the traditional marketing that we normally do around the Christmas, do you want to be in your new home for Christmas, all those sort of things, haven't been relevant. I honestly think that Christmas is off the radar with regards to the real estate market. Obviously, retail don't want to hear that, but Christmas is not going to be a defining point from what I'm seeing at all. So I just see it ticking through. I'm not sure. The crystal ball only starts fracturing probably about mid-late January. And I think that's going to be dependent upon stock that may be coming on in a little bit more abundance late January, early February next year. But I don't see a huge amount of levelling out of demand and supply this side of 2021.
Do you think there's going to be more stock coming on earlier next year, or do you think that the vendors will play to the sort of standard tune and sort of wait till end of Jan? Potentially
that will be affected by what we as agents, how we behave and what we tell them. Yeah. And there is a distinct advantage, in my opinion, to getting onto the market or being, and I always say this every single year anyway, is the vendors that are onto the market the earliest in the new year will hold a prime position and have that potential for a better outcome if more stock comes onto the market in the traditional second week of Jan onwards. So to get in early there, I think is smart.
Very, very good. Look, Jo, I know how busy you are, and it's the start of the new week, so I'm going to let you go now. Thank you so much for giving us your time over this morning. Some really, really good little nuggets of advice there. And look, like I said, Joe predominantly deals in first home buyer land, out, end of metro line suburbs, and and it looks like it's all systems a go down there. So, look, Joe, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have fun. And we'll speak to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Take care. Jo Mooney, everyone, from Just Realty. She's certainly got her finger on the pulse, and she's loving life in the private inspection lane at the minute. She is very much loving that. Not to say that she wouldn't like a little bit of flexibility so that she could tune her diary in a little bit better, but it's certainly paying dividends so far with her vendors. Now, gang, one thing that I want to perhaps leave you with before I let you go and rock and roll into the week is make sure that you know your contracts. Off the back of the weekend and the weekend prior to that as well, actually, the one thing that is abundantly clear is that it doesn't take a lot for buyers to get spooked off a property. It really doesn't take a hell of a lot. So you've got to make sure that you've had a good look through your contract to look for any sort of chink in the armor that could put buyers off. That's part of your homework that you should be doing anyway, if you ask me. Thankfully, I was brought up in the real estate space to really understand my legals, but so many agents don't bother having a look. And then when they get hit with any sort of a curly question, they crumble in a heap, and it just ruins the credibility of the property. So make sure, gang, especially now when buyers are getting used to life, right? They're getting used to real life, let alone trying to buy a house. So their lives are complicated enough. They don't need to have added complications by having strange things go on in their contracts of sale. So have a good look through your contracts, gang, and make absolutely sure that you know everything there is to know and what things that you need to know in order to make sure that you can play some of those curly questions with a straight bat and play with them, with a level of clarity and transparency that is going to allay those buyers' concerns. Gang, enjoy your week. I really hope it's an amazing one for every single one of you. Thursday night, 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, I'll be here answering all of your questions. So if you've got any questions between now and then, send me a DM, send me a text message. You can post your text message to my mobile number 0451 085 998. But between now and then, I'll wish you all the very best of luck for the rest of your week in November. Tonight, 7 o'clock on Property TV, I've got Leah Calnan joining me on the property line. One of the concerns that she's got, which I think is going to be a bit of a chink in the armor for the industry generally, are vacancy rates. So we're going to be tackling that growing concern and what you can do as landlords, investors, and professionals to allay those concerns. Make sure you're tuning in to Property TV tonight, 7 p.m. Me and Leah Calnan going at it, and it's going to be a great episode, I'm sure. But until now and then, gang, you guys take care, stay safe, stay happy. Most importantly, stay healthy.